Alrighty, hello everybody, and welcome back to the Motown Sports Talk Podcast. Today's Monday, April 13th, 2020. And I've got Jimmy back on the show again today. How you doing today, Jimmy?
Good.
Good. Again, it's glad to have you back. It's turning into kind of a permanent guest on the show, so I'm happy with that.
Yeah, it's fun.
Yeah, I like having you on, so I hope you're staying safe out there and everything's going good out where you're at.
Yep, doing my best to quarantine myself.
Right, just like the rest of the world. All right, so we'll start with our first topic of the day, and the first thing I want to bring up is the Falcons and the Buccaneers have released their new uniforms. And to no surprise, much of the internet in the world tends to hate their new uniforms. On one hand, I'm not opposed to them. I mean, I'm not really a big fan of their teams, but especially the Bucs, I really like the dark jersey that they have, and the Falcons with the new kind of font going on their jerseys. Again, I'm not opposed to it. They're just trying to come into the 2020s and start off with a new logo design. What are your thoughts on them?
Yeah, I don't have huge feelings either way. I'm fine with them. Nothing really jumps or stands out to me.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really understand, like, even the Rams logo. I do understand. I mean, the Rams new logo isn't all that crazy, but again, they're just trying to change up their style, and going into LA, they're trying to make their own identity there, and a lot of people are just hating on it.
Yeah, I feel like we hear a lot of criticism these days whenever the NFL or teams do anything. And it's hard to know if that's just a vocal minority or if a significant percentage of people actually don't like it.
Mm-hmm. I've seen a lot of debate on Twitter about the Lions jerseys. They seem to be both loved or hated. There's not really any between. It's either you love them or hate them. I don't really mind them. I'm not really a big fan of the throwback jerseys that we usually wear on Thanksgiving, just those like basic ones, but that's just my opinion. I do like the other regular jerseys though, home and away, and the color rush.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you. The throwbacks are a little bland and boring to me. I sort of like it when there's either a logo or it says Lions on the jersey, so
yeah, something.
know what you're wearing.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, overall, I'm pretty happy with the new uniforms that the Lions got in the past few years. I would say the one thing that I sort of not a huge fan of is the WCF on one of the arm sleeves.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a big deal, but I sort of feel like the uniform is a sacred thing that is almost for the fans and more of just a long-term legacy thing, and to have somebody's initials on the jersey, I'd rather would have seen either them write Lions on that side of the sleeve as well, or have the Lions logo, which I thought would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think that'd be a cool, unique design, the logo on the side. I agree. I mean, I think it was a good sentiment the first few years after he passed away, but how it's been, like 5-6 years now since he passed? Or maybe even longer than that. Yeah, so I think we should move on. I've seen a lot of people discussing that it could be cursed, and that's why the Lions are still in irrelevancy, but I don't really believe in superstitions too much. So, but I do agree. I think they should take the WCF off the jerseys coming here soon in the future, but I don't think that's going to happen until either Martha passes away or the Fords sell the team, one of the two, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think they're selling the team anytime soon.
I was upset in the last set of jerseys we had. They announced in 2016 that when they did they redid every team's color rush jersey, and when the Lions were supposed to have the all black ones, and we never ended up getting to wear those before they redid the jerseys again.
Yeah, I remember that. I think Eric Ebron modeled them.
Yeah, he did.
So, I'm actually fine with the steel gray color rush. I feel like if it were more silver, which would match the team color, that would have been better, but I'm okay with that. I bought a color rush jersey for myself.
Yeah, I really like them too. Like I said, I agree with you too that it should be a little bit more silver or shinier than the like dark matte gray, I guess you'd say.
Yeah, I've bought multiple of these jerseys, and I have a tip for getting these jerseys at a heavy discount if people are still interested, because the higher tier jerseys like the Nike Limited, which are the best ones, the name tags are sewed on, so you can buy like Golden Tate or Ongsa jersey right now at a significant discount. That's what I did with a Golden Tate jersey. I bought a few of those for my kids and myself. And you get a seam ripper, and you just take off the name tag on the back, and there's still some leftover glued on fabric that you can take off with.
That's an awesome idea. I never even thought about that. I've got quite a few jerseys in my closet too, and I kind of said that I'm not buying any more jerseys because I have 3 Calvin Johnson jerseys, which I'm not complaining about that. One of them, by the way, is signed by Darius Slay, which I guess is
Wow.
kind of an afterthought. And then I have a DeAndre Levy jersey, a Ziggy Ansah jersey, I do have a Darius Slay jersey, and a Stafford jersey as well. It's the older one, which again, that's kind of why it upsets me, because I bought that one, and then I think it was the year after is when they got the new jerseys, and I'm like, come on, as soon as I buy it. Yeah, so I only have one current Lions player jersey, even though I have a whole closet full of them.
Yeah, it's really dangerous to buy name tag jerseys unless you're willing to take off the tag, because players are leaving so frequently. Even a guy like Slay, who we got signed to a second deal, he's gone and he's not happy about it, and he sort of didn't leave on good terms, so it makes it a little awkward to wear his jersey. All right, so let me get this straight about your jersey choices. You have DeAndre Levy, who bashed the team after he left. You got Calvin Johnson, who bashed the team after he left, and Slay, who bashed the team after he left.
Yeah.
So what is the deal?
I don't know. Maybe like I'm just cursed. Maybe I just bring bad juju. I don't think Ziggy Ansah has said anything bad, but I'm sure he's said it behind closed doors. So
Yeah, as soon as he retires, it'll probably come out based on your history. Jersey choices.
Yeah, and let's just hope Stafford doesn't have anything bad to say after he leaves. It's just all good. But if he gets traded after this year, just who knows what he might end up saying. So
Yeah, we might have to have you stop buying jerseys.
yeah, like you said, I might just have to take some of that sewing stuff and just put my name on there. Maybe be done with it.
Yeah, I've always been jealous of the Seahawks, who are able to sell those number 12 jerseys with just fan on the back, and everybody wears those where I live. I'm in the state of Washington.
Oh yeah.
And it's great because they can just wear that for the next 100 years and never have to worry about the players or any player leaving and bashing the team or getting into criminal activity or anything. So
Yeah, exactly.
really nice.
That's why I always considered getting a custom jersey with my name on it. But like I said, I might just have to do that process you were talking about earlier.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd definitely be nice because, like you said, I don't have to worry about it. And quick note about the Seahawks jerseys. I love those bright lime green jerseys. I think those are really cool.
Yeah, I agree. I really like them. I hate that I like them because I'm in Seahawks land. God, I just see them all over the place. They've had so much success. I'm just so jealous. But their jerseys really look good. They have that sort of Native American like little logo down the side. I think they look really good. I like the color scheme.
Yeah, like I said, if I were to ever buy another team's jersey, that's probably what it would be. But I don't think I would ever get to that point.
Yeah, hopefully not.
Right. All right. So now we'll move on from the jersey talk. And this is something I've talked about on many, many episodes before. I've discussed it many times, but there's not much going on and the world just keeps talking about it. So we're going to have to talk about it. And that is the Tua Tagovailoa situation. The Lions are still sitting at number 3. Everyone's claiming that we could possibly take him, trade Stafford, or just have a redshirt year for Tua this year, trade Stafford after this year. A lot of things are being swirled, and supposedly the Lions did a video conference with him. He's obviously, I'm sure everyone's seen, he's released his workout video. He's been sending all of his MRIs and medical documents to any team who is requesting them at all. So I've stated this on many previous episodes on my feelings, and I will get to them and repeat them in a few minutes. But first, I want to get your opinion on this whole Tua situation. What do you think?
Yeah, a lot of things to talk about here. First of all, as far as the Lions having a video conference with him, that means nothing. They did the same thing with Kyler Murray last year. They admittedly just do that just to get information about a guy that they might play later in the year.
Exactly.
Last year actually worked out great because they played Kyler Murray the very first game. So as far as Tua's health issues, let's just recap what's going on. He had that major hip injury, which caused an acetabular fracture, which is, if you imagine the hip joint being a ball and a glove, the acetabular is the glove portion. So they got fractured. Now, the main problem with that is there's cartilage called the articular cartilage, which lines the bones along any joint. And that articular cartilage is essential to maintain the stability, the health, and long-term ability of that joint to function. Articular cartilage damage is what causes arthritic issues. You hear that term all the time,
Yeah.
arthritic knee, degenerative knee. What that means is that cartilage is damaged or gone, and now you're having bone being exposed
Oof.
and getting inflamed, getting rubbed on, which causes discomfort, pain, and can cause actually changes in the bone itself, like bone spurs that you can actually see on x-ray. So cartilage damage is one of the major reasons why players' careers end early and play can just suddenly drop off a cliff. See Todd Gurley, see Jadeveon Clowney. These are both guys with confirmed knee degenerative issues, and their play can just fall off a cliff. One guy we saw that with in recent memory with the Lions is DeAndre Levy. This guy was a defensive player of the year level player for a couple of years there. He played for 6 years, played great, had hip surgery in 2015, which was after his 6th year. Did we see him play much after that? No. He fell off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
With these mysterious injuries, why is this guy not playing? We haven't seen this guy get hurt. We haven't seen him like being carted off the field. We didn't see anything.
Right.
So I suspect he had hip cartilage damage, which caused the hip surgery, or they might have found that in the hip surgery. And we saw him only play 6 years. So Tua might have the same kind of issues with his hip. Tua might only be a 5 to 7 year player because of potential hip arthritis very soon, which makes him likely not worth signing to a big second deal. So these are all things to consider for teams when they're thinking about drafting this guy.
Exactly. And again, I've stated many, many times before, I personally do not want to take Tua at all. I understand his potential, and that's the biggest key word is potential. As you said, he could be amazing, but he could be like Andrew Luck on only play. It's 6-7 years and then just get constantly injured after injured. I have to miss year after year and just ends up retiring early because he's tired of the injuries and just all that type of stuff. Plus, and the Andrew Luck point is another thing I wanted to bring up, because correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't believe he missed very many or any games in college or high school, and then he comes to the NFL and he is as injury prone as he is. So that all has to do again with the team protecting him up front and the offensive line and the weapons that they put around him to put him in a successful position. But at the same time, if you can't withstand being hit by college level guys, imagine being hit by 300-400 defensive linemen, Khalil Mack or JJ Watt or Joey Bosa coming around the corner and hitting you from the blind side, coming right down on that hip that you've been, or other injuries that he's had. So
yeah, you're absolutely right about bringing up Andrew Luck. We're seeing players retire a lot earlier than they used to. One, because they don't like getting injured as much. Number two is because they've made a ton of money. Andrew Luck made tons of money, enough to retire for the rest of his life and his kid's life and his grandkids' life.
Right.
So the risk with a guy like Tua is you sign him to a big second deal, and then we might get another DeAndre Levy type situation where I got this huge signing bonus. My desire to really fight through these injuries has significantly diminished.
Yeah, and again, you would know a lot more about the medical terminology and how this is going to affect him in the long term, but this is coming from me personally, who has had back issues my entire life, and I've played sports my entire life, and I have seen, obviously not at any professional level, but I have seen what it just does to me personally, and I couldn't imagine, again, playing such a physical sport. And it's the one thing, pain, if you have a consistent injury like that, which this honestly is one of my concerns with Matthew Stafford and his back injuries, back pain doesn't go away. Knee pain doesn't go away. I mean, it'll get better and it can feel better, but it's constantly going to hurt and constantly going to bring up flares and just moments of pain all the time. And again, especially in such a physical sport, I've only played backyard football, so I can't say what it's like to get hit by, again, like by a 300-400 pound man and know how it feels to wake up the next day constantly on a daily basis.
Well, this is why Father Time is undefeated, as they say.
Right.
You're right that pains don't often go away. Things don't heal fully. And when you have something like a acetabular fracture like Tua did, that's something that's never going to be 100% again. That cartilage damage is permanently damaged. Now, there are different degrees of damage. Did it get totally torn off so he's missing a bunch of cartilage, or is it just a clean shear and it's still mostly there? But regardless, that cartilage got torn and it's never going to be the same.
Yeah.
And as far as what you were saying, as far as chronic pain or just having residual pain, I think we see that on the Pro Day video at this point. I wanted to talk a little bit about that. Chris Mortensen on his Twitter timeline released 7 2-minute videos from his Pro Day that Tua released. And the main thing I was looking for was any signs that there's still lingering hip issue. I didn't see anything obvious on the first 6 videos, but on the 7th video, I think I saw it.
Oh, really?
What you're looking for is not when he's just doing this drop backs and throwing the ball. All that looks pretty good. It's hard to notice any issue there. But when he's just walking, I notice a hitch in his gait. And you can really see it towards the end of the 7th video when he's just sort of walking around after throwing the ball. There's just a little bit of a hitch to his gait, and it looks like he's still having some discomfort with that right hip. So go ahead and take a look at that and see what you guys think. But to me, he's still having discomfort with that hip, which suggests he's not ready to play a game right now, despite what he says. And whether he's going to be ready in 4 months when training camp starts is debatable. I think there's a decent chance that he's not going to be ready, and he's going to start the year on PUP or even on IR. Now, from his standpoint, it's best for him to take a redshirt year anyway if he's having any kind of discomfort, because if he's a first-round pick, he's going to be locked into 5 years. That's 4 years plus a 1-year, 5th-year option. So that first year is not going to make any significant difference to whether he gets a big second contract or not. So if you're drafting this guy, you almost have to assume he's not going to play his rookie year.
Yeah, that's the way it should be anyways if you want him for the long term.
So as far as the Lions taking Tua, it just seems like a bad idea for a guy who might only play for 5 to 7 years and very likely will have to redshirt his first year. You got Stafford, who's still in his early 30s. He could easily play another 5 years. So,
look at all the Drew Brees and Tom Brady and how they're playing into their 40s now.
Yeah, absolutely. Aaron Rodgers. Quarterbacks who want to play into their 40s can play into the 40s. So Stafford seems like the kind of guy who's just hardcore about football and wants to play as long as he can. So he wants to play into his mid to late 30s. That already covers the majority of time that Tua would be effective.
Exactly.
So it really doesn't make much sense for the Lions to proactively take Tua and stash him for 2-3 years.
Yeah, again, as I stated in our last episode, I think just continuation is good for the team. Like keeping the big players, keeping your quarterback, your head coach, your GM, just keeping those 3 in place for a few years to be able to do something together instead of swapping out quarterbacks or GMs or coaches every 2 to 3 years doesn't seem smart. I mean, obviously Stafford's been here for 10 plus years, but that's what a lot of people are saying. He's been here for 10 years and hasn't won anything, blah, blah, blah. But again, that's all topics for a different conversation. I do believe quarterback win stat is kind of a stupid statistician because there's 10 other guys on the field with you when you're playing and 11 guys on defense playing as well. So there's a lot of factors that come into it when winning the game. We've also know that Stafford has put the team on his back and what leads the league in comeback wins since 2011, I want to say. But again, that's all topics for a different day. But going back to some people are claiming it could be like a Patrick Mahomes thing where you redshirt him for a year, then trade off or let go whoever you have, and then let Tua take over, and he's going to be the superstar of an athlete and lead your team to the Super Bowl, which again could be possible, but like you alluded, it could only be for 5-6 years of success before that hip starts flaring up and he can't physically play anymore.
Yeah, if I'm a GM, I'm not taking him early in the first round, but for Lions fans' sake, hopefully there's a GM out there who's desperate for a short-term fix and doesn't care about the second contract and just wants to get a good 5 years out of it. Hopefully
Yeah,
somebody wants to trade up.
I think a team that would be perfect in would probably be like San Diego, who's trying to build their name up in LA because they have the Rams there and they just lost Phillip Rivers. So I'm pretty sure they're on record as the lowest attendance team in the league. So they probably want to build up that attendance and get some more fans in there. And Tua would probably be a huge name that'll do it. But my last point, going back to Tua's health and everything, one of his biggest assets in his game is his ability to get out of the pocket and run and just be elusive and all that. And again, that whole hip injury can affect that severely.
Yeah, no question. There's always the question, is it the chicken or the egg? Is it because he runs a lot that he's getting injured, or is he getting injured because he runs a lot? If anybody doesn't follow Dr. David Chow, he's a great follow on Twitter. That guy's really smart. He used to be a San Diego team physician for like 17 years. And he commented on Tua's injury-prone status. And he states he doesn't think Tua's injury-prone, but the way Tua plays might make him more prone to injury. I think it's all semantics, because as a GM, all you care about is this guy going to miss games or not?
Yes.
And I think the way he plays, and with his history of injuries, and as you mentioned, injuries never heal and you can have chronic discomfort from it, this guy probably is going to be an injury risk going forward.
Yeah, because that's what GMs always say. The biggest asset you can bring is your availability. How many games are you going to be able to play for us? Again, I don't think that the Lions should draft Tua. I do think they should try to look into some type of succession plan to Stafford, but again, I'm not anywhere in the top 3 to possibly even 4th round taking a quarterback, in my opinion.
Yeah, we just signed Chase Daniel to a medium-sized deal, and with this regime on a playoff contention or bust basis, I can't imagine they're going to put a lot of resources into a third-string quarterback.
Exactly. Yeah, like I said, we have too many glaring holes on this team that need to be addressed before we take a quarterback, especially that high. All right, so that'll go ahead and do it for the Tua talk now, and we'll continue this draft talk with it being just over 2 weeks away. The biggest question is obviously, what do the Lions actually do if it not be Tua, if it not be Chase Young, if he's already gone, if there's possibly no trade options. One quick fact I actually just learned this morning, I mean, I guess I never really thought about it. Bob Quinn's never picked inside the top 5 in his entire career. The highest pick he's ever had was last year at 8 for the Lions, but other than that, this is the highest he's ever picked. So that's why there's a lot of people are speculating that he might trade back, because that's where he feels a little bit more comfortable and would just rather get later round picks and stockpile them instead of picking in the top 3 and having that pressure. But so my first question for you is, besides Chase Young and Jeff Okudah, who are the 2 most talked about prospects to the Lions, who else do you possibly think we could take, whether it be at 3 or whether we trade back to 5 or possibly even later in the first round?
Yeah, first of all, I don't think we can even assume that that's their board, Chase Young and Okudah. For all we know, there are 3 or 4 guys ahead of Okudah or in the same tier as Okudah.
Exactly.
There's guys like Clavon Chasong, who some people think is the second best edge rusher, which is our number 1 need. Just today, there was a report by, Peter King, who, here's his quote from his article today: "I bet 40% of teams in the league have C.J. Henderson higher on their boards than Okudah. Better cover guy." This is an anonymous GM that told Peter King that. So for all we know, C.J. Henderson is the 2nd or 3rd guy on the Lions board.
Right.
So what that means is, if the Lions trade down, don't assume that we are missing out on who they really wanted. We don't know what their board looks like. So one thing to realize regarding the contract values of the first round is there's a steep drop off from our number 3 pick to number 6 or number 9.
Right.
I'm reading off the rookie contract values off of the Spotrac website. The number 3 contract value is $34.5 million for 4 years, which is about $8.5 million per. The number 6 pick is about 6 3/4 per. The number 9 pick, which is Jacksonville, is at 5 1/4 per approximately. For example, if we traded from 3 to 9, we'd save over $3 million a year on that player. And if our number 1 or number 2 guy is, say, Javon Kinlaw or C.J. Henderson, who the Lions might think is going to be very available at number 9, we'd almost do a straight up swap 3 for 9 just to save the $3 million, and any extra picks we get as a bonus.
Yeah, that would be a huge thing considering, and that's another topic, is Bob Quinn loves to play the salary cap game. And again, how would that benefit? Because again, I've alluded in previous episodes, we're pretty much on a younger team. A lot of players are on their first contracts or just on their second contracts. So like the only players who are, I think, getting big money on their second contracts are Stafford, Trey Flowers, Jamie Collins, Marvin Jones. And other than that, it's pretty much all just young rookie guys. I'm sure there's a couple other people I forgot. But so Bob Quinn likes to, again, play the salary cap and get good players for cheap. So
yeah, he's made no secret in hiding his desire to trade down. Last year, he was begging people openly to the media, come get us, come to us at the number 8 pick. We want to trade down. And this year, there have already been reports that Lions are just begging people, give us a trade offer for number 3. We are open for business. So Bob Quinn has made no secret that he loves to trade down. It seems like he couldn't find a good trade partner last year at number 8. Hopefully he gets what he wants this year at number 3.
yeah, hopefully, like I've stated before, if Chase Young is not available, then I do think that we should trade back. Personally, my next top player is Isaiah Simmons, just because I think that he is a plug and play player at any position. You could put him up on edge, you can put him in the middle of the line, you can put him up at safety, you can put him at outside linebacker, you can put him at Mike. He can play anywhere on the field and it'll totally confuse the offense on what you're trying to do. So, but like you said, whether we go to back to 5 or whether we go back to 9, it depends. He could be taken 4th overall right after Lions were supposed to be picked. So it depends on how far they want to go back and what they, again, like you were saying, who else they could have on their board that they feel, because they might not have Isaiah Simmons on their board as high as I do.
Yeah, speaking about Isaiah Simmons, I want Patricia to put his money where his mouth is. He's been talking about multiple for 2 years now. All we hear is this guy's multiple. Our defense is multiple. I love this guy because he's multiple. Well, we got the ultimate multiple player in this draft, and maybe one of the most multiple players we've seen in any draft recently, in Isaiah Simmons. So let's see you draft this guy. Let's see you prove that you really want multiple guys and draft this guy and make good use of them.
Exactly. Like you said, almost every time I hear Matt Patricia talk about a player, one of the words that he always uses, like you said, is either multiple or versatile. Those are 2 words I hear him use with like almost every player. This guy's very versatile. We can plug him in at any part. Like that's something, like you said, Matt Patricia loves to do, is take players and be able to use them anywhere on the field. The last player I think that can remind me of Isaiah Simmons would be Jabril Peppers out of Michigan. He was kind of that, just be able to play anywhere on the field. I think he was listed as linebacker, but he played a lot of safety, a lot of edge, a lot of just all over the defense. So
yeah, and Isaiah Simmons is like the enhanced version of Jabril Peppers. He's so much bigger, so much taller, faster. So it's, yeah, this guy, as you mentioned, this guy could be number 2 or even number 1 on the Lions board. And
yeah,
we may have signed Jamie Collins, we may have signed a bunch of other linebackers, but don't be surprised if Isaiah Simmons is really high.
Yeah, I agree. I really do like him, especially his numbers pop off on every single stat line at the combine. No matter what stat it was, whether it was the 40 or the high jump, anything, he was just stood out everywhere.
Yeah, he reminds me a lot of Calvin Johnson's combine, where he runs the 40 in a ridiculous time. Calvin did it in 4.35. Simmons did it in 4.39, but they're both tall, freakishly tall, big athletes.
Yeah.
Run insanely fast.
Yeah, I agree. He's just somebody that, for somebody who's that big, should not be able to move that fast.
Yeah, it'd be really exciting to see what the Lions could do with him here.
Yeah, I'm very excited. We got a lot of options. Like you said, someone you mentioned earlier, Javon Kinlaw, I've watched a lot of film on him, and I'm really high on him too. He could be someone that we could trade back if Bob Quinn wants to possibly even go later in the first round and just get even more picks. But
yeah, so one thing to keep in mind is if the Lions do trade back, say to like number 9 or even number 12, don't immediately bash the Lions if they didn't get trade value or what you expected them to get, because we don't know what their board looks like. If they think they can get their guy at number 9 or number 12, then they should be okay with taking below market value.
Exactly. Because like you said, it's all about who they think can fit in their defense, because they're a GM and they are head coaches for a reason instead of us. So they know who will fit their defense and who they want to work with. And they've worked with these guys a lot closely. Like we've stated that Matt Patricia was at the Senior Bowl, so he kind of already probably has a good idea of who he's interested in certain rounds and stuff like that, or where they could possibly fall.
Yeah, that's a good point. He has a lot of knowledge about these sort of later round players, so that might be further incentive to trade back and pick up a bunch of third, fourth, fifth rounders and pick up a lot of those Senior Bowl players.
Yeah, I know another player that I keep seeing mock drafted to the Lions in later rounds is that Bradley Awney, who I think he plays on the edge too, and he really stood out at both the Senior Bowl and the draft this year. So he's someone that if we don't, I honestly see it a possibility also if the Lions trade back again later in the first round that they could go offensive line, whether it be tackle or guard. I see a lot of people not being happy with that, but like we even stated too, if there's someone like Bradley Awney or anyone else that they think they can get in a later round that they also could plug in at the edge.
Yeah, we should not be surprised about anybody Bob Quinn picks in the second or third or late first round.
Yeah, especially after last year. Like I said, I don't think a single mock draft had any of the Lions taking TJ Hawkinson.
I mean, Jelani Tavai, second round.
Yeah.
yeah, Jelani Tavai was just sort of out of nowhere. People had to look up his name.
Yeah, that's the same thing. I never even heard about him because he's out in Hawaii and not a lot of big publicity on the Hawaii football team out there. But
don't be surprised if we take a running back in the second round. I'm sort of expecting that to happen.
Yeah, that's kind of been Bob Quinn's thing. He always, like, Amir Abdullah was taken in the second, Kerryon Johnson's taken in the second.
Yeah, but if we want to do a immediate upgrade and a win now or bust mentality, getting a high second round running back, that guy becomes almost an immediate starter and probably takes 50% or more of the carries this year.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing. I like Kerryon Johnson, but I don't think he can be a workhorse back. Like, he needs someone to split carries with 50-50, and I like Bo Scarborough, but he's not starter type. He's more of a third down type back, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. Kerryon Johnson has injury issues, missed a bunch of time, and as we were discussing earlier, arthritic issues, which potentially could be an issue with Kerryon. Just reading between the lines, he might have had a meniscus issue or something with his knee, and that can cause running backs to fall off a cliff at any point.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, like we said earlier, those injuries, those knee and back injuries do not go away, and that pain, again, it can go away for a little while, but if you're constantly running, constantly getting hit, it's going to come back quick and possibly even worse.
Yeah, so running back is a huge need, and Bob Quinn's mentioned the importance of a running game many times over the past 2-3 years. If he wants to win now, I would not be surprised about a very high pick on a running back this year.
Yeah, I've kind of predicted that. I mean, at this point, I really like that Jonathan Taylor, and there's that one other running back prospect who keeps getting projected in the second round. I can't remember his name.
I really like J.K. Dobbins.
Yes, that's it. That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah, I mean, Ohio State guy, watched him just destroy Michigan. He reminds me a lot of Ezekiel Elliott, the way he runs.
Yeah.
I know they went to the same school, but the way he darts in and is able to just slice in and get 3 to 5 yards almost every time, that guy could be really great here.
Yeah, I agree. I'm excited to see what happens. One quick last note I do want to say, they've been talking a lot because obviously everyone's trying to find things to talk about. So a lot of people have been talking about previous drafts and all this. And honestly, when you look back at like the Matt Millen, Martin Mayhew era, it really makes you appreciate Bob Quinn's draft picks a little bit more. Because like I said, I know he hasn't hit on everyone. They haven't been the best. But when you just look at how bad the previous drafts were and how many wasted top picks we had, it just makes you appreciate that. Again, Bob Quinn's picks might not all be perfect, but they all do at least contribute somewhat and play somewhat productively over previous picks that we've had in the past.
Yeah, I agree. Hopefully they all can take just a little bit step forward this coming.
Yeah, like I said, this is a big year. This is the highest Bob Quinn's ever drafted. And I mean, it could change. He could draft back or trade back behind 8 where he drafted last year, but we'll see. I'm excited. Again, we've stated before, this could possibly be a hot seat year for them, both Bob Quinn and Matt Patricia. So this might be a make or break year, and they have to hit on every single pick. All right, well, I guess that's going to do it for us today. I want to thank you again, Jimmy, for coming back on. I always love talking to you.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, so thanks everyone for tuning in. I'll see you again next time.